Fantastic. Okay, can everyone see the PowerPoint here?
This is Liz. We can see the PowerPoint, but we also see your notes under the PowerPoint. It's not in full presentation mode.
Okay. How about now?
It looks the same for us.
Okay. Oh, okay. Let's try this again. How about now?
This is Liz. We see it in presentation mode.
Okay, perfect. Okay, great. Okay, well, again, thank you everyone for being here this afternoon. We are doing the information session for the Early Support for Infants and Toddlers strategy for the ESIT provider RFA, and this is the resubmit. As I mentioned, this session will be recorded, so if you need to refer to it in the future, you can. And I also want to just point out that this RFA is only open to currently contracted ESIT providers. This will be our agenda for today. We are going to just review the key elements of the request for application or RFA, as well as give a general kind of overview of the rating criteria and any other questions that you may have. You can ask those today as well. Or actually any questions that will be asked will be posted with the official answers on Zoom grants. So if you can, please hold questions till the...
Okay.
Oh.
That's that chapter.
That's okay. So if you can hold questions, then that would be perfect. Okay. As you all may know, the mission of Best Starts for Kids is to strengthen families and communities so that babies are born healthy, children thrive and establish a strong foundation for life, and young people grow into happy, healthy adults. And that really fits into the purpose of this RFA as well. We are seeking responses from current ESIT provider agencies that were not found qualified during the initial January 2023 RFA to access funding to support their efforts, progress, and plan to strengthen racial equity and disability justice in alignment with Best Starts values and the mission. And the funding decisions resulting from this RFA will be effective January 2024 for a period of up to 2 years. A little about the funding. DCHS and DDEX has budgeted Best Starts ESIT funding not to exceed $405,033 for the program described in this RFA, again, for up to 2 years. So how to apply for this RFA? We will do it again via Zoom grants. The application includes questions, and we're asking that you keep it between 2,000 and 4,000 characters for each question. So there will be narrative questions, and you'll be required to upload 2 documents. The first document is the demographic data of children served by your organization in 2022 by race, ethnicities, and family language. And the second document is demographic data of your organization's geographic catchment areas. You may use school district data and or catchment area. And if your catchment area is all of King County, you may also share countywide data that your organization has identified along with the source. I'll slow down for the interpreter. So as you may know, these are ESIT strategic priorities. And on the last RFA, you saw that each category was kind of set up with these strategic priorities. And while the current RFA doesn't have these categories, what we are hoping to do is to really still focus on these in each of your questions or each of your answers. And really taking a deeper dive into these priorities. We're hoping for this RFA that you will use the tools of reflection, being accountable to your community and to your staff and to your organization, and really talking about taking actions to strengthen your agency and how you are connecting with families and the community. So like I just talked about, like it's not set up in the way of those 5 categories. But again, we're really wanting you to take a deeper dive into how you answer the questions in this RFA. So really, and I'll talk a little bit more about those in a moment, but really thinking about we really want you to use the tools of reflection, accountability, and action. So reflection prompts us to deeply consider our thoughts, beliefs, and experiences in relations to the questions at hand. It encourages introspection and examination of our biases and assumptions. Accountability calls for an honest acknowledgement of our role in shaping the current state of the work and compels us to take responsibility for our actions or inactions. By recognizing the impacts of our choices, we can actively work towards rectifying past harms and preventing future harm. And action is the transformative force that propels us to implement concrete steps and initiatives, promoting positive change. It involves actively challenging and dismantling systemic barriers, advocating for equity and justice, and standing in solidarity with marginalized communities. So most RFAs really want you to celebrate your wins, and we saw that in the first RFA. We saw, you celebrating your wins, but we really want you to dive deeper and look at the challenges and how those challenges can be addressed. And we really want you to look at it through this lens of reflection, accountability, and taking action. So I won't read all of the questions on the RFA this afternoon, but there are a couple things I will point out. And if you have additional questions, please just let us know. So last month, your leadership teams met with Debbie and Norma to discuss data. They walk through how to pull data from your agencies. So please refer to your team members that attended those meetings to discuss how to complete this. Or if you have any questions about that, again, please let us know. But the other 3 areas, again, are really focused on that self-reflection, that your organization is accountable and taking action. So you'll see it set up that way on the RFA as opposed to those 5 strategic priorities that we had in the first RFA. So the scoring criteria will be the same as the previous RFA. Take a quick look at that there. And this is how the questions will be rated. So we can have up to 100 points. And again, if we need to have interviews after the review panel reviews the applications, then it's possible that that can take place as well. We will have a review panel that will review the RFA. They'll carefully review the rating criteria. The review panel will closely follow the scoring rubric. Each application will be reviewed separately, and all completed applications submitted will go through a formal review process. So available for you for free is to reach out to receive technical assistance. We are highly encouraging you to do so. They are available to support you all and eliminate barriers that might prevent you from receiving funding. I just want to point out this date of August 24th, which is about 2 weeks before the due date. Normally we would have for a normal RFQ, it's usually a week. But we are really hoping that you will not rush this process and, again, have that deep self-reflection when completing this application. So it is about 2 weeks before the application is due. We've used Zoom grants before to apply for the initial RFA, but if you have any questions about Zoom grants, then the information is here. You can reach out to Joanna and she'll be more than happy to guide you through that process. So this just is showing a timeline. The RFQ was released on August 4th, which was last Friday. We're having the recorded information session today. The final day to request application assistance is the 24th. And then the submissions are due by September 11th by 2 p.m. We will review and rate the applications in September, and if we need to have interviews, that'll happen in September as well. And you will be notified of the selection or non-selection by October of 2023. So if you have any additional questions, again, you can reach out to Joanna. She'll be happy to help you. You can contact technical assistance providers directly for support. If you need, there is a glossary of terms in the RFA that you can refer to. And please make sure to review the checklist to make sure your submission is complete. So this is the opportunity if you have any questions. I'll stop sharing my screen. If there are any questions, please feel free. Oh, I see that there are some chats here. I couldn't see the chat while I was in presentation mode.
This is Liz. None of the chats were questions.
Okay,
Just
perfect.
welcoming each other and saying hi.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Liz. Any questions? So I see in the chat, the application in Zoom Grants looks exactly as the same as the previous round. We understand it would be a shorter application this time around. I don't know if anyone from our team wants to speak to the conversation around it being shorter or versus the questions that we have now.
This is Debbie. I'm not sure Yeah, I don't believe we ever said it would be a shorter application. The application is, and the questions are different this time.
This is Liz. I just want to acknowledge, Chris, I may have said that it would be shorter. I think I said also it would be simplified. And I do think that we simplified the application because we really focused the application on the answers that we thought were needed from the review panel's perspective. So I apologize if I said shorter. I want to acknowledge that I may have said that. I think my intention was to say simpler. This is Liz. Oh, are the exact same questions, not different questions? I'm seeing Chris's question. I may be having an issue with Zoom grants as the questions are pre-populated with our last app. Oh, then that means there might be a Zoom grants issue. And we will want to connect you with Joanna, who is on this call. They are different questions.
If you can send, either email me a screenshot of what you're seeing or put it in the chat, then I can look into that because you shouldn't be seeing the same question. So thank you for flagging that.
And actually, Liz, I want to acknowledge too that you did say it was going to be simpler. I did hear that when you had that conversation with us. So thank you.
What other questions come up for folks?
I don't have any questions. I think it's pretty clear what it is that you all are asking for.
I think my questions would just be around the process. So I'm trying my hardest, not just with this, but with many things, to just really try to process things before I ask right away. So can you just clarify, when we do have a question, the process is to reach out to Joanna specifically via email, and do we put the question right in the email, or do we schedule some sort of meeting with her? So just in case we have extended questions after she answers, or what exactly is the process for questioning, putting out questions to Joanna?
Sure. And I actually have a last slide that has her contact information on there. But Joanna, would you like to speak to what's kind of the best way?
Yes, happy to speak to that. Please email your questions to me. So go ahead and put the question in the email. And what we will do is, so that everyone has access to the same information, we will answer your question and also put your question and the answer in an amendment. And then we'll post it to Zoom Grants so everyone can see the questions that have been asked. So I am actually taking notes on the questions that have been asked today, and you'll see an update posted. Does that respond to your question? Great, thank you.
Is there anyone from the King County team that would like to share anything or have any additions?
This is Debbie. I was just thinking, after Cynthia asked that question, putting myself in the shoes of an applicant, like, I think it's very clear to email Joanna with questions. But then I think the other piece, which Chanel talked about, is that you have the opportunity to request technical assistance. And so those folks might be answering some of your questions as well, depending on what the questions are. And so you have kind of two different pathways, but I don't know if that made sense or confused the issue more, but I know that Chanel shared the information about technical assistance, and we strongly encourage you to take advantage of that opportunity.
So Debbie, is this the capacity building?
It's different.
Okay,
And so it is technical assistance just for this application. And
Okay.
so even if an organization is working on capacity building in general for the organization, it's a different process, and we want you to request it sooner than later. You know, that deadline on the 24th is the last day to request it. You can request it any day between now and then, but please do take advantage of the opportunity. They've been briefed on the RFA. If you're working with them and there are questions that they have, they'll reach out to our team and Joanna. They'll be able to support you on your submission.
Wonderful. And will we get this PowerPoint sent to us as well, or is it already somewhere that I'm just not seeing?
Yes, I think this recording will, or not, I think this recording will go out. And I believe that we're able to send the slides as well.
Thanks so much. And I'll definitely be reaching out to get that TA as well. So I appreciate that offering.
I see that Wynn has raised her hand. Go ahead, Wynn.
Yeah, I was going to say one more thing about the TA, which is it's a way to get feedback on your submission and have somebody read and think about how your responses are aligned with the questions, and looking at the, you know, thinking about the criteria that we're asking for. We know these things are very complicated and it's hard to hold all the parts of it. And so the TA provider can offer you support in holding all the parts of it. Even if you have fantastic grant writers, we know this is a different kind of application process than usual. So that's one of the reasons why we're encouraging you to use it.
Are there any TA providers on the call today that want to share more? No.
This is Liz from the ESIT team. I'll share one. I hope it's okay for us to say this in the recording, but we would all really like to see you successful. So we're excited for you to start.
Thank you, Liz. Okay. Well, if there are no further questions for this afternoon, I want to thank each and every one of you for being here this afternoon. I will send out this information, and please contact Joanna for further questions. And again, thanks so much for being here. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.